Okay, so since you've asked, I don't want to keep repeating myself, and I don't share this with everybody I know. So what I'm trying to say is I don't go around talking about these things or anything, so I'd rather just make one or two videos, and if someone is attentive, they can just watch these videos and know the story about it. So I was asked in regards to when I was 6 years old what happened, and then when I was 15 years old when I was like raped. Um, so like 15 was planned and operated by my, it's a long story. I don't like getting too deep into it because I'm not open in a sense of I can't easily talk about everything to everyone. But and that can sound cliche because I did an event here in Gyumri about it, but it was specifically for women who are like orphans, and I was basically going to be an orphan because on multiple occasions the Catholic District School Board in Toronto, as well as the government, was multiple times involved in these cases, and I was basically going to be put in a home, and so-called taken care of um, by the government and then independently on my own. And I do recall on both occasions, on 3 times, because the second time was when I was 15. My mother interfering, guilt tripping, her narcissistic ways, manipulating, crying. Oh, if anybody finds out I'm a bad mother, this, I'm going to be the one that they're going to be talking about, because my mom was, in the 80s and 90s, my mom was like very much into the Armenian church. She didn't want her name being, like, reputation being destroyed. And her boyfriend now, the rapist, is very much into the Armenian church as well. Um, and he was married to a Turk, and he has a child with a Turk who's it's a long story. Which is interesting because my mom was so against all that at one point in her life, well, especially with my father. But anyways, that's not important. And she would just manipulating me because they were gonna take me multiple times, and give me a lot of like opportunities, scholarships, and my mom took all those scholarships away from me, like so many scholarships. And then eventually I was going to go to Europe and live in Europe. Everything was like taken away from me. Everything was going to be paid for. Hairstyling school, psychology school, counseling, like so many different things that I wanted to get involved with, and the government was literally paying for it at that time. Mind you, this was like 90s and early 2000s, where the option was so much more open in that field, than it is now in Canada, in Toronto, I mean. And she just kept trying to manipulate me, like, oh, they're gonna feed you drugs, you're gonna get raped every day, just stay here with us, just stay here in our house. I'll be a good mother to you, I'll give you attention, I'll do everything that you want, which was a lie because then she'd run out the door and make excuses. I truly started feeling really guilty for my mom. Instead of her feeling guilty for me and the rest of my family members, like, I have a sister, she should have been responsible, but she never was. My sister would leave me places. She would leave me. She'd ditch me at the mall. She'd ditch me on the street so she can go and have fun. How many times I recall, again, government's getting involved, police getting involved. Why is this girl by herself? She can't find her home. Like, who's responsible for her? I remember my neighbors knocking on her door, yelling and screaming at my mom, what kind of mother are you? Why is your daughter always alone? She can get kidnapped. In the 90s, there was a very big scene of kidnapping little children where we lived. So, again, my mom would always play this victim card of, oh no, and then she'd never really take responsibility for me. And then when it got home, it would be that repetitive behavior of, I hate you, like screaming, and it's coming from her heart. I wish you died. I never wanted the third child, and just things like that. And it's like, sometimes, actually all the time, I think about it and I say, why did I feel so much for my mom? Why was it that it was like a transference of energy? Like, instead of her feeling guilty for me, I'd feel guilty for her, and I'd be naturally healing her, trying to encourage her and empowering her. And here I am, a little girl, whose like fucking insides have been taken from her, and like, you know what I'm saying? And like a lot of times till now, sometimes I think the amount of things, opportunities and things that were taken from me, but yet I've gained so much wisdom. So I don't know. I mean, there's many ways to look at it, but this has caused me to like just not trust anyone, like, at all. If you can't trust your family, who are you gonna trust? Ghostbusters? I'm the Ghostbuster. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't, and I never will. And it's just like, I remember talking to the counselors up till in my late 20s. Because I've been in so many fucking issues and cases, and my mom's just lied and denied all of it to everybody. Every family friend, every family encounter, like her brothers or cousins, she would deny and deny. Until this day, she'll deny that any of it even happened. Nothing like that even happened. So, but there were files and reports and everything. So anyways, I just wish everybody the best, and I don't want to talk about this anymore because I just don't think it's necessary. I can't change the past, but I know I've paved the way for the future because I'm away from them, and I'm away in a completely different country and continent and the other side of the world. So at that time, I was young. I loved and cared for my family, and I knew that if I was taken away from my family, then I think that was my greatest fear as a child, even though my family was abusing the shit out of me. So, that emotional maturity towards my family wasn't really matured until I was in my late 20s. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe mid-20s. I'd say mid-20s. I think it was mid-20s. I think I acted in a sense that I didn't care, but all I cared was about my family and for them to love and accept me, but they never will. And there comes a point, remember, we're going back to accountability. There comes a point in our life where we have to accept things for what they are. You know what I'm saying? So, and this is my life story. So it is what it is. And I think going forward with this and moving forward with my life with all this is like, you know, a lot of times I've had to be so-called pretentious. Not that I'm being pretentious, but it's like around people, because it's like you don't want to come across as an asshole and just not talk to people. Sure, I love talking to people, but it doesn't mean I want to sleep with you or I want to be your friend. I don't know you. I don't care for your 2 minutes or 10 minutes of hugs and kisses. Something deep and down inside of me, something for the rest of my life, I'm going to have to work on these things. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I can't just form a relationship or a marriage bond when everything is, or have kids when everything is so interrelated and interwoven with my family and my exes and my fiancés. So I don't think it's ever going to be, because people always ask me, oh, you know, you're still young. You're only 34, 35. You haven't met the one yet. You think you haven't met the one. Well, if I've been engaged this many times and I haven't proceeded, most of people who say they haven't met the one literally do get married on the first time somebody proposes to them. You know? That wasn't the case for me. I remember the first time I wore my wedding dress, I screamed in the dresser. I screamed when I put it on. That's not healthy. That's not right. There's something wrong there. So if I ever do get married, which I truly don't believe I will, nor do I want or care to, trust me, it would be in the next 10 to 20 years. And I'm saying that with sarcasm, yet reality, because that's how much work I have to put on myself, and I regularly have to. And so would he, because he, instead of working on me, it's not his obligation to work on me. It's not my obligation to work on him or his fears. It's his obligation to work on his life. And then you come as a unit together. You don't... So I'm tired of people asking me when I'll get married, my desire to get married. people don't understand. They don't get it because they haven't experienced what I have. So, yeah. There's also a lot of people will look at me and be like, they'll think I'm like very lucky because of whatever circumstances, but then when they hear my life story, they're like, you know what I'm saying? There's this one girl, every time till this day when she sees me, and after I did that event, she was at my event at Nautilus. I think she was like 19 or in her early 20s. Till now, when she sees me, she's like this. She's so shooken by my story. It's shocked her, you know? And there's another one who she literally ran at the opportunity of a scholarship to Spain. So she's in Spain now because I had mentioned all the opportunities I lost. So she's there. She ran at the opportunity like, oh, I don't want to lose opportunities, you know? But, no, like her life circumstance is different. Her father allowed it, you know. At that time, my father wouldn't have ever. The way my family wanted me raised was you get married, and once you get married, you do whatever the hell you want with your husband. You can travel the world with your husband, but you don't do that shit alone. That's the life of a whore. You don't live alone. That's the life of a whore. You can't be independent. That's the life of a whore. You know? So, very fanatical Christian household I grew up in. And every person who has deeply effective, physically, emotionally, psychologically abused me and other people that I've known, like severe, like wish death and harm, were like fanatical Christians. They even tried that shit in my apartment here. Trust me. There's a lot I don't say. There's a lot I don't say. But it wasn't successful. I want you to know this is your life and your life alone, and you choose whatever you want in your life. You choose to be where you want to be. You choose to be who you want to be around. If you're in a somewhat similar circumstances as I am, where, you know, now I'm not European. I wasn't raised in a European household or European environment where it's like pro-women feminism in a sense of, oh, look, she's teaching people to be separate from her family, or, you know, the naysayers, the bullshit, the ones who can't get with you. They'll try to drag you down and say, you know, she's more European. She's trying to implement the European lifestyle in Armenia. I don't have to do that. There's other people doing it. Like, they literally work for that. I don't have to do that. And how ignorant would I be when I haven't even lived in Europe? I've never lived in Europe. Like I said, that scholarship was taken away from me. In fact, my cousin ended up doing that. And then she's married. She's in Europe. She's been in Europe for like 20 years, 15 years. She's married to a European. She stayed there and opened up an English school, who I don't even talk to for the last 15 years, who is also a fucking narcissist and very similar to my mom. You gotta look at the facts of your life, because when you're young, you can feel bad. You know, I was that child where I wasn't selfish. I'm trying to be as selfish as I possibly can now that I'm older, because let's look at the basics. I'm alone. If anything happens to me, no one's gonna know. No one's gonna fucking care. Who's gonna care? My neighbors? Who's gonna fucking care? My neighbor upstairs, she is in her 60s or 70s. She lives alone. But she has her nephew every day with her. She has her brother and her brother's family here. And she complains all the time. Not that I'm saying she's not entitled to, but she complains all the time that she's alone. But she has her family with her. What the fuck do I have? You know? So you have to take back your power, and you have to, instead of externally pushing it out, you just take it in. You take it in and you teach your way of life. You protect yourself. You protect yourself. And it's okay to be selfish as you get older when you have a background such as myself. Not a lot of people do, but there are people like this who, without choice, this has happened to them on a regular basis. It's happened. Their upbringing was fucked up. My 4th house is in Scorpio. Pretty fucked up. Black moon in Lilith is very similar to 4th house. Pretty fucked up. So, speaking of Black moon in Lilith, if I'm not mistaken, April, May, during the Taurian season of 2022, Black moon Lilith is going into Cancer. So this is my time, guys, and I think I've done a lot of the inner work, but there's going to be a lot more darkness being presented to you by me. And darkness is a lot of shit that people don't really understand. I do understand that Christians perceive darkness to be evil and lightness to be good, but that's not the truth. Life is not black and white. The sky is not black. The sky is not white. It's blue. Life is colorful. If you choose to perceive things the way, like that, that's up to you. But don't come around me, because I'm way past that. I know the Bible in and out like no tomorrow. Trust me. Like no tomorrow. So, I wish you guys all the best, and I will continue to make more videos, and you will continue to hear more from me, but I don't want to talk about my childhood anymore. I don't care for empathy from other people. Oh, I feel bad for you. I don't look at that shit. I don't have a victim mentality that I'm a victim. Sometimes I've had to use those terms because people don't quite understand certain things. So I don't know what else to say. Find yourselves, if it's through a deity or nature, if it's through a creativity. You know what's funny? I was actually sharing this story to the Hovaneshiras Mtankar the museum when I mentioned the guy. Director yelled at my mom. When I was spending time with them, I was wearing off-the-shoulder tops, shorts and stuff, and they're pretty traditional Armenians, over there, the staff. And I remember sharing them a story about my mom when I was little. I never bashed my mom in front of them ever, but I did share a story how when I used to go to Armenian school, and my mom, she was very disciplined. The Armenian school was very disciplined. The girls had to wear certain outfits every day. They were never allowed to wear nail polish. Everything had to be immaculate. They had to sit a certain way for like 9 hours, not make sound. The girls had to be very feminine. The boys had to be more masculine. So after school, my brother would cause chaos at home. And whenever my mom had the time to come home early, whenever she did, and early was considered 7 p.m., 7 or 8 p.m., my brother would be throwing shit around, breaking things, slamming things against the wall, beating me, hitting my head, fighting with me. And my mom would come screaming, coming and hitting me on top of that. So instead of disciplining my brother, she'd punish me, beat me, and then punish me and put me in a room alone and say, "You're the fault." And I used to say, "It's not me doing it. It was, it's not me, it's my brother." And she'd say, "Shut up, you're a girl. Your role is to shut up and keep your mouth shut," which is quite interesting because my mom was fully the opposite, especially with my dad. You know what I mean? No, it wasn't like that in the household. So I get the beating, and I remember, and my brother would get away with it. Until this day, they're like that. So I remember we had creative arts class in school. And I remember all my paintings and like sketch drawings and stuff, usually paint, would always turn into a butterfly, where we would do natural like designs and throw paint. Mine would always turn into a butterfly. And if you know anything about butterflies, in my old videos from 2012 when I had red hair, I would say butterflies are symbolic of transformation. They go from a caterpillar, an ugly little bug, to a beautiful, colorful, winged being. And so I was so tantalized. I felt amazing. I felt so incredible that, there's this thing called paint, and I would get all my tension and upset energies and feelings out, you know, when we had art class. So I remember coming home one day and asking my mom, can I have like can we buy from the dollar store, like, just plain simple paper with crayons and markers? And she screamed at me, no, you are not allowed. Your role is to be doing nothing. Creativity, coloring is for evil children. You are not allowed to have fun. So obviously I was sad. So it got to the point where I remember I was at school one day, and I know I was going to close the video, but I just remembered this, so I want to share it. I took markers from school and crayons. And at that time my mom had just repainted the walls like a fresh white. And because my brother kept, you know, causing like chaos and like pouncing at the walls and stuff, throwing his toys and stuff. And I remember coming home from school one day because I didn't have paper or anything. I took the markers and the crayons and I just kept all over the living room walls, all over the place. So my mom, because it was like an art canvas to me, you know, we had art canvases in art class, literally, where we would put it on the, you know, canvas and stuff. And I just saw these butterflies that just kept coming up. So I decided to do it at home. And my mom saw me. She lost her shit. She pulled me. She got a wooden stick. She's beating my bum. She's beating my hand. I'm running up the stairs trying to escape her, crying, okay, mommy, no, mommy, okay, mommy. And I got punished, of course. Years went by. I was about 18 years old when I got my first tattoo. Guess what it was? It was a fucking butterfly on my ankle, on my right ankle. I had gotten it with my, at the time, ex, who was Italian. The first boy I brought home. And he had gotten a Scorpio tattoo because he was a Scorpio. And years went by and I just kept getting tattoos and tattoos and tattoos, and it started getting all colorful. And there's about 2 or 3 tattoos that I actually covered up. I actually had a bull sign here. I don't know if you could see it, but it started fading like severely. So I just ended up covering it. Can you kind of see? You can't really see it. Yeah, you can see it. You see that? So that was my second tattoo, if I'm not mistaken. No, I think it was. I can't recall. And my mom screamed and screamed, and she sat me down one day. She's like, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you getting all these tattoos? And I remember I said to her, I said, Mom, do you remember that time where you wouldn't allow me to have paper and crayons and markers to express my creativity? She's like, yeah. I'm like, guess what? Now you're never going to be able to get rid of this. So, oh my gosh, it's like for many years I kept it all, and I just tell people, like, they started laughing, dying on the floors laughing, the staff at the museum. And I'm like, to me, it's all about creativity. It's about expressing my creative side, and the fact that I wanted to be an artist. Literally, that's what I wanted to be when I was little. I wanted to sing. I wanted to dance. I remember when I was, like, I literally won awards for singing and dancing when I was a little girl. I won an award in Armenian school for my dadas and me dancing. They always said my hands were always really, you know, expressive. Acting, dancing. I used to dance a lot. And she hated it. She didn't want me to. So my way of never allowing that to ever leave me was to get these colorful tattoos. If you've noticed, my tattoos are very vibrant and colorful. But in Armenia, the color tattoos are not very strong. So that's why my face, I have a death skull on my belly with a snake. It's in black, of course, as a promise about never having kids. So I just wanted to share this little story with you. And I think I'm going to cut it. So again, before I keep talking, have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.